all hype. I guess these run well, but I think I am done working on this RusTundra. I started on it last summer, and I put it away for the winter when it got too cold. I was working on the back brakes. Backing plates are rotted. I put 2 drums on it, wheel cylinders. My buddy bought this and got ripped off big time. Big time. He bought a RusTundra, flew to Erie, Pennsylvania. The dealer picked him up and he said, "Hey buddy, the further you take this thing away and the faster you take it away, the happier I'll be." He paid him the $5,500 and he drove it home shaking and rattling and rolling because the rack was falling off the frame. And I welded it there, and I welded it there, and I welded it all back together, but it's still a rot box. So why I'm showing you all this is, 1, I'm proud of my work. Too bad this thing belongs in the junkyard. And 2, I didn't keep track of my hours. It's a good friend of mine. What does he owe me? I put on 1 inner boot there. Tie rod, let's see, sway bar, link ends, a couple of brake lines, 1 there. My buddy Nick went to the junkyard and got me some ABS sensors. Those are $100 each. And he got them in the junkyard for a lot less than that. Calipers, the rotors I polished up. They got a little surface rust. It's just surface rust. Wheel bearings on both sides. I had to bring those to the shop and have those pressed in, even though the old ones were mint perfect. Can't tell till you open it up. Caliper on this side. Wheel bearing. Inner boot there. Steering rack boot here. Sway bar end link. Brake hose. Anti-lock brake. Upper ball joints. I pressed those in because the boots were bad. And what else did I do on this thing? Of course, I bled the brakes, and I also changed the fuse in here because my buddy hooked up the battery cables backwards, and that was one heck of a job. Then I couldn't get the heater to work, but that was my fault because I forgot to put one of the relays back. There's a fog light fuse that, oh, where's this go? There's a fog light fuse that, fog light wire. I can't get that thing open. Anyways, played around. The knob here was busted, so I JB welded it back together. He went and bought a new one. He went and bought a new fuse also for $27, which is somewhere. I changed the gas filter. I couldn't get the bracket off the frame because you can't get a ratchet in there, and everything was rotted and couldn't heat it up. Gas tank is leaking only when you fill it to the top and tilt it. So what do I charge him for all this work? He told me he'd give me $1,000 to weld the frame. I just finished welding an exhaust hanger on. This is a junkyard muffler because the hangers were cut off. So I welded on right there. You can't see the weld, but it's welded on the other side. I welded on an exhaust hanger on both sides of the muffler. Now the muffler is hung. Remember we got those, Nick, and wherever we got those from, Colombia, I guess. I don't know where we were. So what's all this worth? All this work. Brakes, calipers, brake lines, rear brakes, weld the frame, weld the muffler, bleed the brakes, fix the fuse, which I had to pull at the fuse box. It actually slides up out of the housing. What's it all work? If he told me to give me $1,000 for the frame, then $500 for the back brake job, I think we kind of discussed. A lot of work. I take a lot of things apart. I made these brake lines. I made this one. All I can't find now is those little black pushing things. I got tons of them somewhere. Ball joints. I have to bring that to the shop and have those pressed in. What's it all work if you had to add this all up on a flat rate book? And I work slow because I'm slow. Yeah, new boot there, new ball joint here. What's it all work? What's it all worth? Had to hammer on that to get the ball joint out. New backing plates. Just the labor. What's the labor worth on this RusTundra? I put some oil in this thing. She's smoking big time. It can't be a head gasket. We're changing gears here. It can't be a head gasket because the coolant, I don't think, oh, maybe it has gone down. I just put a couple quarts of used oil in it. I don't know what the heck's wrong with this thing. You start it up, and most of the time when you fire it up in the morning, or even after sitting for an hour or two, it smokes like mad. You wouldn't believe the smoke. The whole road disappears. I'm talking, the entire road disappears. Now there's nothing. No smoke at all. I just went down the road after it sat overnight. This thing left a trail behind. You'd think it was on fire. And it's nothing to do with the coil that I changed yesterday, because it's been doing it for the last 2 weeks. Just smokes like a banshee. I wonder if it's got a bad head gasket. It doesn't run rough at all. Just happened to have a bad coil. But got a tiny bit of moisture in here when I looked at it this morning. A tiny bit of white. Runs perfectly just for that coil, but just smokes. Oh, I floored it going down the road, and the whole road just disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Look how nice it runs. I haven't added any coolant down to the halfway mark, but the way this thing, if it would be burning coolant because of a bad head gasket, you'd see the coolant go down. It would run rough because it would be in one cylinder, fouling one spark plug. Let's see, what motor is this? 2.6 liter, 2003 C240. What goes wrong with these things? It's making me crazy. I can't drive this thing. The whole road just disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Head gasket? No, not very low. Have to be using a lot more than that. Shame. Thing runs great, drives great. Drove it to my buddy's house for dinner last night. Ran like a top once I put that new coil in yesterday. Alrighty. So, how much labor? What do you think? Leave it to you guys. I'll give you half.